Hello, everyone, and welcome to another first-round matchup in Season 2 of the Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins Randomizer League. Who will join Rave Tuba and Late Learner here in the win column? Stay tuned as we find out together as Oh Dear takes on the Squirrel. I'm Ferran Burgundy. I'll be bringing the action here to you. Also want to thank Nori Astra behind the scenes doing the restreaming and tracking for me. And we certainly have a great matchup here for you this midday. It's not even afternoon yet, as we're at least here on the East Coast of the United States, a couple of minutes before high noon. But for those a little new to Super Mario Land, the object of Super Mario Land 2 is for our racers to defeat the evil Wario. To do so, they will advance through 6 different zones to collect, as the game's title indicates, 6 golden coins by defeating 6 different bosses. And those golden coins will allow access to Wario's castle for that final showdown. Now, what's randomized in Super Mario Land 2? Practically everything, as the levels are shuffled. The zones with dual exits may or may not be swapped. We'll get more into that as the game goes along. The bosses, enemies, and power-ups are randomized, also changed around to the zone's music, the physics, where they can have either normal physics, moon physics, or space physics, which will affect their jumping and height and things of that nature, as well as whether or not a zone's level auto-scrolls. So we're just a little bit here away from getting things started here on Randomania, and boy, do we have a jam-packed couple of days coming for you among the Randomania networks. We'll get into that over the course of the event as well. A lot of stuff Dragon Warrior related, and I'll certainly be involved in a lot of that coming up over the course of the next day or two. But I believe we're just moments away from getting things started here between Oh Dear and the Squirrel. They'll be heading down the pipe any moment and going into the starting zone, and we'll see which of the 32 different levels it is going to be. The Squirrel with a bit of a reset, and maybe he's perhaps testing the soft reset function, something a little, I guess, lesser known to those who may not have played this on the Game Boy in the past, but hitting select start A and B at the same time does what's called a soft reset, and you'll see our runners utilizing that to escape various levels, and we're getting things started here as Oh Dear. Going a little ahead here. We'll get that synced up in just a moment here, but it looks like the starting level in this case. Yes, we've got the different directions here. Oh no, wait, we've got a reset apparently. Perhaps a false start, I suppose. Usually you see those in football, but you don't necessarily see them here. Now working to get things in sync, it looks like. As it looks like Macro Zone 3 is going to be where we're starting. Looks like we've had a false start on both sides, so maybe we'll get things going pretty evenly here and see how things go. At least there's that little bit of commonly shared knowledge. They know what the first level is, and they'll be able to handle it accordingly. Being told that there is a controller failure issue that we're dealing with here, so that's the reason for the delayed start. Yeah, the failure of a controller to work certainly could hinder one of our 2 racers. So as they're working on that mechanical mishap, it'll give me a chance to let you know about what's going on here over the course of the next couple of days here on the Randomania networks, including right here on Randomania this afternoon at 4:30 Eastern. We have a replay of the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Chaos Tournament semifinals. First, it'll be the two semifinal matches. The first one between the Tie-Dye Guy and High Spirits, followed immediately by Angry Larry against Tristal. And that will lead right into the live broadcast tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern of the tournament third place match. Meanwhile, tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, more of the Pokemon Crystal Cinco Bingo tournament. And it looks like we are underway. The controller issue has been rectified, and both of our runners, Oh Dear and the Squirrel, are off. Oh Dear picking up a 1-up along the way. That's what the heart was. And a slight lead for the Squirrel, but only maybe about a second. But any number of different things can change the course of the race. Whether it be a death, whether it be an incorrect choice on the dual exit levels. As you see, both of them picking up a mushroom power-up, allowing them to take a hit. And Oh Dear going to double back and is going to get the Fire Flower. Meanwhile, the Squirrel falling into the fire. Oh, but he takes a death, does the Squirrel, to the Bonefish kind of floating out of nowhere. So that's going to have him start back at the midway point. So that gives a little bit of a lead to Oh Dear. And Oh Dear is going to be the first to finish that particular zone, and we'll see which way he goes. He's going to go left over to the tree zone. And tree zone 1 this time around. Oh, that looks to be turtle zone 1. Meanwhile, the Squirrel finishing up with the starting zone and is now going to head on over to the tree zone. And will also make his way through Vanilla Turtle Zone 1. Going to take the high road, pick up a money bag. It gives 50 coins, but it's not quite the power-up that they're looking for. Oh Dear having the right idea using the Fire Flower, as that'll give him a chance to torch some of those enemies, although they could also be looking for the Carrot, which will give them the bunny ears, allowing them to kind of float and hover in the air as they make their way across. Oh Dear going for the high jump, not able to go high, so swims low. And Oh Dear swimming to the goal. So now going to head into Tree Zone 2, which is a split level. And it looks like it's going to be Space Zone 1. So there's an upper and lower level as the Squirrel having to restart, I believe taking a death there. And it looks like the standard moon physics are in play in Space Zone 1. So it'll allow them that little bit of time to float as, Oh Dear taking a bit of damage in the jump there. Isn't too far away from the midpoint bell, and what timing on that as he gets hit just as he collects the power-up. If that was a split second in the other direction, that would have been a death. Catching a 1-up there is Oh Dear. Meanwhile, the Squirrel back to about the midpoint, kind of weaving through, and oh no, taking another death. That fish being unkind. As Oh Dear takes the lower path, and that turns out to be the secret, which is Tree Zone 4 in this case. So he's going to repeat the level. And meanwhile, the Squirrel opting to go in another direction. So the Squirrel at the moment in Vanilla Tree Zone 1. And Oh Dear making his way through and is going to have to take the secret exit, take the high road to advance in the tree zone. Meanwhile, the squirrel running into a little bit of trouble in Tree Zone 1. A little bit of an aquatic issue and goes back under, picks up an invincibility star. Hoping to be able to run into some enemies along the way. I believe once he hits 5, that will give him a 1-up before the invincibility runs out. And is not going to do so, but is going to hit the goal. And Turtle Zone 1 was Tree Zone 1. And he's now heading over to the Turtle Zone 2, which is going to be the split level known as Pumpkin Zone 3. So 2 different directions there. Meanwhile, Tree 3 for Oh Dear. And that's going to be Macro Zone 2. Pretty straightforward. Just kind of firing up at some ants and piranha plants. The squirrel, meanwhile, opting not to hit the midpoint bell. Interesting decision there as he has the bunny ears. So he's going to hover over the top to be able to get to the secret exit. And we will see if that is the ideal decision. And it is. That's going to get him onto Turtle Zone 3, which is Tree Zone 5. Oh Dear now swimming through. And is going to opt to pick up the carrot and get those bunny ears on the way to the goal. And is going to head on up to Tree Zone 5, which we see is Pumpkin Zone 4. And meanwhile, the squirrel is at the boss of the Turtle Zone, and it is the octopus. This is randomized, right? And a couple of quick stomps, and that makes quick work of the octopus, and the squirrel is going to be first on the board, gathering a coin here at just past the 7-minute mark in this race. And the squirrel now going to head over to Mario Zone, which has the distinction of being the only board that doesn't have any split exits. And we've got an auto-scroller here for the squirrel. Looks to be the Macro Secret. And Oh Dear dispatching of the 3 little pigs, and at 7:47 is going to get his first gold coin of 6. So now heading on up to the hippo that generally leads to the space level, so that is a split level as well, this one being Pumpkin Zone 2. A little bit of a zip utilized there by the squirrel. Oh Dear passing up on the midpoint bell. And we've got, 2 auto-scrollers in a row. This time the traditional start level for the squirrel. As Oh Dear waiting for a fireball there to move out of the way. And Oh Dear going to jump on through some of the blocks and gather an invincibility star and a 1-up. Now, the lives certainly being important. You don't want to lose all of your lives, as a game over will result in the loss of all of the coins that you've collected, although you won't have to repeat the levels that you had gone through. And Pumpkin 2 looks to be the less than ideal as it sends over to Macro 1, which is the submarine. It is a split zone, Turtle Zone 2. A lot of the runners tend to take the closer exit, which is the secret exit, although it is known as the gauntlet, as there is a series of enemies that with the randomization, you don't know how difficult it is going to be. The squirrel, meanwhile, enduring the auto-scroll, which normally this level is not an auto-scroll, but that is one of the things that's randomized here in Super Mario Land 2 Randomizer, and only at the midpoint bell, as Oh Dear now heading up and to the left, and is making his way through the gauntlet. As you see, there's bullets and bonefish. Usually there's sharks here as well, and taking a death to one of those bonefish is Oh Dear. The squirrel, meanwhile, is floating and fluttering, and just trying to get through this auto-scroller. Oh, but hanging on to the end of the screen, there was a Paragoomba that just kind of hit him like an RKO out of nowhere. That's for the wrestling fans out there. So he's going to lose the bunny ears, but still be Large Mario, heading on into Mario Zone 3, which, are you kidding me? 3 auto-scrollers in a row. This time it is the miscellaneous overworld level, the mole, in a sense, as I call it for short. I don't know how often you necessarily see that. 3 different auto-scrollers, as Oh Dear now going to take that secret exit, and it is the ideal scenario as it takes him to the secret level, which means that he has one less zone to go through in the macro zone to get to the boss. Meanwhile, Oh Dear making his way through one of the pumpkin levels, which is the macro special this time around. And meanwhile, the squirrel, it is space time for the boss. Space Zone 2. And it has its standard physics, so you can float along, although hard to say whether the star song is along with it. And meanwhile, the macro final zone is the Vanilla Turtle Zone 3. So that is interesting, with the space zone being the auto-scroller as well. So wow, is Oh Dear taking a death? Those bonefish have been brutal to him thus far this seed. So all 4 Mario Zone levels are auto-scrollers. A highly unlikely scenario, but you never know what you're going to get here with Super Mario Land 2 Randomizer. Really, you never know what you're going to get with randomizer games in general, and that's pretty much the crux of what the fun of it is. Just when you think you've seen everything, you get to see something new. Oh Dear picking up a fire flower as the squirrel still floating along. Perhaps based on the rhythm, dancing to the star song. And Oh Dear about to take on the witch. Let's see which of the directions it's going to be. Starting off with the right and taking a hit from the fire. And now we're going left. And one more. This time it is to the right. Taking another hit, but is able to take out the witch, and Oh Dear is going to pick up coin number 2, but not too far behind is the squirrel, who is on the sewer rat. And at 1414, we have coin number 2 for Oh Dear. But right behind is the squirrel, who is going to get coin number 2 probably about 20 seconds or so after the fact. So it is still close, and it's interesting to see as the two routes converge who really has the lead. I mean, in terms of coins, yes, there's about a 20-second lead for Oh Dear, but all it takes is one death, one incorrect decision, and that can completely shake things up. As the squirrel now heads over to Mario 3, Mario Zone 3 in the Pumpkin Zone 1 spot. Oh Dear, meanwhile, back into Pumpkin Zone 2 and is going to take the other direction. So he can get up to the Space Zone and see what awaits in store there. Oh, it looks like we've got space physics in Mario Zone 3. Which should be interesting given the conveyor belts and the spikes and everything else, as the squirrel having to wait to get beyond that turtle. Ducks underneath the spikes. Takes that extra split second, and Oh Dear going to take the secret exit to head on up to the Space Zone. And Space Zone 1, which is going to be a split level as well. This time it is Macro Zone 1. So for Macro 1, in order to get to the secret area, they're going to need... Oh Dear is going to need a Fire Flower. And there it is. Little commentator's credit there. And the squirrel finishing up and hitting that bell right at the end allows for a little mini game here to get a either power up or some extra lives. In this case, getting the carrot to get those bunny ears. And it's going to head on to Pumpkin 2, which is Vanilla Tree Zone 2. So 2 exits, an upper and a lower one, and depending on which way the squirrel goes, it could either lead to one of the 2 pumpkin secret areas, which is what the squirrel does not want, or it could lead on to Pumpkin Zone 3. Oh Dear, meanwhile, is going to take the secret exit. And we'll see if in a moment that leads to the Space Zone secret, or if it leads... Oh, it does lead to the secret. That was not the correct decision. And, at least for the moment, is opting to play through Pumpkin Secret. I guess because it's a short level, it would be about the same amount of time as a soft reset, so why not complete it and keep your power up at the same time? As meanwhile, heading into the Hippo Zone now is the squirrel. Ooh, and taking a bit of hit there from a bird. And utilizing the moon physics, opting not to get the bubble that allows you to float along. Interesting decision, especially given that the squirrel at the moment is Small Mario. Nothing like the bird flying underwater. It's what's great about the randomizer. And now heading on to Space Zone 2, which is going to be Macro Zone 4. The squirrel, meanwhile, taking the upper path and Hippo, and oh, that is the incorrect decision, and that leads to Pumpkin Secret 2, which is the Space Secret Zone. And the squirrel opting to play through that as well. Ooh, hitting the Paragoomba, but also taking a hit along the way. And Oh Dear is going to face the Space Zone boss, which is Tatanga. I do assure you this is randomized. And a couple of quick hops, and Oh Dear is going to get coin number 3 in a matter of moments here as we close in on 20 minutes into this race. Squirrel, meanwhile, back into the hippo zone. So now 3 out of the way for Oh Dear, and Oh Dear is now going to head into the pumpkin zone. So the path's starting to converge. And the squirrel going to moon hop over to the lower exit. And we see that it is Mario Zone 4 for the Pumpkin Zone boss. So by process of elimination, the squirrel will be awaiting, although he doesn't realize it yet, the angry mama bird for a boss. As we've already seen the 5 other bosses between our 2 racers, as they took different paths through different levels and zones, but are now both at the moment in the pumpkin zone. And sorry if I spoiled it. Yep, there is the mama bird. So the squirrel going to hop once, twice, and 3 times. And the squirrel will even up the score at 3 golden coins apiece. At 21:37. Now, even though it looks like a pretty large lead for Oh Dear, remember, he still has to go through Mario Zone and has to handle the 4 auto-scrollers. So Oh Dear now heading through Tree Zone 2. And the squirrel is going to go run the gauntlet. So Oh Dear heading upward and into the secret exit, which is the correct one. So we won't know this seed what the first secret zone would have been, as both runners made the correct decision in Pumpkin Zone 2's Tree Level 2. The squirrel, meanwhile, utilizing the moon physics that are here in the submarine, and is going to run the gauntlet. Ooh, and Oh Dear getting clipped by the beak. Ooh, and the squirrel getting hit by that bullet as Oh Dear taking the lower path, and that is the correct path. So that could be an advantage for Oh Dear, as that was a correct decision made that the squirrel had to double back and do that level again. So that could give a little bit of time to Oh Dear. But there are still a few decisions to be made by both of our runners. And as we saw in the seed last night, the equalizer could very well be inside Wario's castle as well. So the squirrel navigating the gauntlet once again, and oh wow, it's getting sandwiched by some bonefish and another bullet. As as Oh Dear about to take on the Mama Bird. And takes it out. So coin number 4 for Oh Dear coming at 24.45. And Liam noting in chat, one incorrect decision can cost as much as 2 to 3 minutes. As now heading over to Macro Zone 2, which is Pumpkin 1. And opting for a soft reset. So yes, Oh Dear running a gauntlet in a different sense, as this is, unbeknownst to him, the first of 4 consecutive auto-scrollers. Yes, Mario Zone being called auto-scroll zone in this case. Yes, auto-scroll zone because, we don't have the advertising rights otherwise. And Oh Dear, well, zipping through in a rather destructive way, but certainly effective nonetheless. And both hitting their respective goals. And now the squirrel going to head into Turtle 3. And we'll have a date in the moment with the witch. Oh, the squirrel taking a bit of a damage boost, hoping that power-up would assist. But it did not, as it was a money bag. Oh Dear, meanwhile, on the second auto-scroll of Mario Zone. So this could give the squirrel a chance to catch up, not being limited by the auto-scrolling mechanics. And able to get a clutch Fire Flower in a hidden box. And is going to head through the pipe, and it is witch time. Going left. Going right. Squirrel going back to the left. A pretty common pattern. And oh, you heard the Munchkins sing about it, but yeah, let's just say the witch is gone. Change it up a little bit. So 27.40 in, and the squirrel getting coin number 4. So depending on how the space zone goes for the squirrel, this is a great chance to even things up and perhaps take a lead, as Oh Dear is mired in these auto-scrollers in Mario Zone. But it is a matter of making the correct decision, which we do know is the secret exit. So it's a matter of, will the squirrel take that, or will the squirrel go traditional? Ooh, getting clipped there by the ghost. 2 down, 2 to go for Oh Dear, and I could only imagine Oh Dear's reaction now. We've got an auto-scroll star song going on, and not in Space Zone 2. Ooh, and another damage clip for the squirrel. And Liam correctly noting that for Deer, the only decision left is the secret or traditional exit in Turtle 2, which we know is Pumpkin Zone 3. Whereas the squirrel still has quite a bit to decide, not only with this level, which he does take the secret exit, and that is the correct one, so that's going to save a little bit of time. And now we've got Macro Zone 1. Which we know that the traditional exit is the correct one, and I can only imagine Oh Dear's reaction right about now with consecutive auto-scroller number 4. So if you're the squirrel, he doesn't necessarily realize it, but he may want to have happen what happened in the last zone and to lose that fire flower along the way. Oh, and the squirrel ducking underneath the midpoint bell. But he hits it, and he is going to take the secret exit and will be disappointed with the result. So now will the squirrel, recognizing what level it is just going to charge on through, not even bother with the soft reset, as it's pretty much a sprint to the end of the zone. The difference may be a matter of seconds between the soft reset and getting back to that point. So back in now, and this is where the time is lost, the redoing of the level. As Oh Dear continues to float on through space, floating on like the floater song of the 70s. And the squirrel frantically trying to get to the traditional exit of this zone. This time sliding under but still clipping the bell is the squirrel. And now getting under the point where he was before, and here comes boss number 5 for Oh Dear. It is the sewer rat. If you blinked, you missed it. As Oh Dear dispatching of the rat, exterminating, and getting coin number 5 here at 3209 into this race. Although the squirrel not too far behind, currently on the Space Zone boss. But the difference being, and this is where Oh Dear has the lead, not nearly as many zones in the Turtle Zone, not nearly as many levels, whereas the Tree Zone has potentially the most. At least 4 that they have to go through. But a couple of potential decisions to be made. As the squirrel takes out Tatanga. And the squirrel's going to get coin number 5. So about a minute differential, but yeah, 1 extra stage for the squirrel to go through. And this is where the decision will be crucial. If Oh Dear makes the correct decision, it certainly gives him a significant advantage. If he makes the incorrect decision, that puts it back in the squirrel's hand to be able to take it. But again, we don't know how cumbersome Wario's castle is going to be. So Oh Dear dropping down to get a fire flower. As the squirrel makes his way through Turtle Zone 1. And we know that the secret exit is the way to go for Oh Dear. But he does not have the bunny ears to be able to float up, and he's going to see that it is the incorrect decision. and is going to immediately soft reset and not have to deal with Mario Zone 1 and the Turtle Zone secret. So that opens the door up a little bit here for the squirrel. And Noriester noting in chat, perhaps he just wanted to hear the Star Song again. And Liam agreeing with, pretty much saying what I was about to say a second beforehand. Who doesn't want to hear the Star Song? It is. It's catchy. I've been hooked ever since AGDQ. And the squirrel making the correct decision in Tree Zone, taking the secret. And is going to head over to Tree Zone 4, head over to the right. And we see that that is the traditional turtle secret. As Oh Dear, after having doubled back and gotten his fill of the Star Song. Yes, nostalgia, it's the Star Song, the funky Star Song. And is now on Tree Zone 5. As meanwhile, the squirrel on Pumpkin Zone 4. So they're both on their last board and last boss. Oh Dear, just getting to the octopus. And 3 stomps on, and Oh Dear is going to be the first to gather the 6 golden coins. As the squirrel dispatches of the 3 little pigs and is going to get coin number 6 as well, but Oh Dear about to enter Wario's castle. And Liam, you're correct. About exactly 25 seconds between when they gathered their respective 6 coins. But again, one death in Wario's castle can immediately flip that around. As Oh Dear hitting a couple of enemies and is now going through the moving platforms, traversing those fairly quickly. Oh, and the squirrel taking a death. Those jumps can be problematic. So Oh Dear hopping up a couple of more levels in terms of traversing. Jumping some more across some more platforms. And is able to get out of the way of those spinning thwomp-like enemies. As the squirrel back in and now on those rotating platforms. Oh Dear working on the 3 mini-bosses, for lack of a better term. And a crucial fire flower heading into Wario. And a trifecta of stomps takes care of Wario Part 1 out of 3. And now we've got the bunny-eared Wario, which Oh Dear proves that he's no match for gravity. And now Fire Wario to close things out. Potentially. Well, he takes a hit there. Oh, he takes another hit, but he is able to get the third stomp, and Oh Dear is going to take it. Ladies and gentlemen, get out your GGs for Oh Dear, who is going to finish this race with an official SRL time of 39 minutes and 30. 39:34 is the time for Oh Dear. As the squirrel makes his way to Wario. And one more to go there, and the squirrel will be finishing up as well. 1 hop, 2 hops, 3 hops, and the squirrel is going to finish up as well. Exactly 1 minute behind Oh Dear with an official time of 40 minutes and 34 seconds. This was certainly an interesting and back-and-forth race. Could have been taken by either one of our runners. We'll hope to get them both in here in a matter of moments to find out as how things went. And in fact, I believe I just heard the click from the squirrel, and there's Oh Dear as well.
Hello.
Hello there. What a see. I guess the first thing to get into is let's talk a little bit about Mario Zone and the 4 consecutive auto scrollers.
That drove me crazy. Because I decided to go the reverse route because I died like twice to the same enemy in Tree 1, which was Turtle 1, I think.
Turtle 1.
Yes. And so I was like, you know what, screw this. I'm going the other way around. So I got through Turtle Zone pretty easily, but then I hit Mario Zone, and I was just laughing my ass off the whole time. And I'm like, Dear, you're going to love this. You're going to love this. It's going to be great.
Yeah, and I was scared the whole time. What would wait for me in the Mario Zone? I was expecting difficult levels, but then there was just that huge time waste there, which was funny.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it was. It wasn't so much that it was a challenge, because I mean, 2 of the levels, one was the starting level, and the other was the mole, the miscellaneous overworld level. It was just more so the waiting.
Yes.
That sounded like it was more so the aspect that
I lost several power-ups in that zone just because I was goofing off,
Same.
trying to like pass time. Luckily, the seed had a lot of spare power-ups. I guess with a easy mode seed, that's bound to happen.
Yeah, as I'm looking here at the with the reverse routes, it was kind of hard to tell throughout most of it where the lead was, as the times for gathering the coins were pretty similar. I mean, it was about a 45-second differential from your first coins. Squirrel had gotten your coin just at the 7-minute mark. Deer closer to the 8-minute mark. Then about a 21-second differential from when Deer got the Macro Zone coin versus Squirrel's Auto Zone coin, or Auto Scroll coin.
Oh, did he take the wrong space exit?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, there were a couple of decisions that went in favor of one or the other, and they pretty much evened out throughout the seed. Let's see, coin 3 took a little bit longer, and I think that was where I think there were some issues with decisions in Pumpkin Zone for Squirrel, but you had taken out Tatanka Deer in about just before the 20-minute mark, whereas coin 3 for Squirrel was about 21.5 minutes in. And I think that might have been where about the turning point was. As things had converged, we thought, all right, it's a matter of decisions and how Oh Dear was going to handle the auto scroller. But ultimately, it was about a minute-long difference. pretty much throughout. I think it would have been considerably closer.
If I didn't take the death in the castle, oh.
That was it was. I mean, I almost felt like I'd given a commentator's curse in a dubious fashion, as I'd noted. Well, O'Dear's ahead for the moment, but one death could flip things either way. The squirrel took a death, and I thought, oh, well, literally and figuratively, I thought, oh dear.
Yeah, there were a couple levels where I just played really poorly. Like Liam just pointed out, I messed up the gauntlet pretty badly. Of course, that tree 1/turtle 1 level really ate a lot of my time. But other than that, I think it was a really close race.
Yeah, fortunately, the gauntlet ended up being the correct decision, but unfortunately, the gauntlet was the gauntlet. So
I needed
bad news
2 attempts, I think.
I might have needed 3, but the last one was just like taking my time with it.
Yeah.
Just that extra little bit of time to make sure. Any other thoughts on the seed here?
Best Mario Zone 2018.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it actually just came down to luck in this one, because you said that Squirrel took wrong exits in the pumpkin zone, which I did not, and that might have turned it around.
Yeah, the hippo board in Pumpkin Zone 3 that took a significant amount of time. I mean, both had taken the incorrect in Macro 1, but the pumpkin secret was so quick, you just both opted to just sprint right through it and get back, as that would have been a marginal difference between soft resetting and just during it.
I mean, soft resetting would still have been the smarter decision, actually. But sometimes you just want to keep that power up. Even if the level you have to play next isn't that difficult, it just feels better sometimes.
Right.
And that was kind of what I had observed. I thought, all right, maybe they're just trying to keep their power-ups, and because the time was I mean, it would have saved a little bit of time, but at the cost of the power-up, so it was a risk-reward in that regard. But both of you had the same idea on that.
Exactly.
Well, I want to thank everyone here on Randomania for tuning in. Coming up later today, tune in right here at Randomania this afternoon at 4:30 Eastern for a replay of the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Chaos Tournament semifinals. First between the Tie-Dye Guy and High Spirits, and then immediately after that between Angry Larry and Tristal. And that will lead right into the live broadcast tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern of that tournament's third place match. Also tomorrow, among the Randomania networks here at 3 Eastern, it is more of the Pokemon Crystal Cinco Bingo Tournament. And tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern here on Randomania, the finals of that Dragon Warrior Randomizer Chaos Tournament Championship. That's right, the Chaos Champion will be determined tomorrow night in roughly 31 hours, or a little more than. That's when the start of it will be. And over on Randomania 2 tomorrow night at 9, you'll see the Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Weekly. And then Tuesday evening, the Randomania networks will be jam-packed, as you'll see the last of the Super Mario Land 2 first-round matchups. First at 6 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be Typo against Yoko 21. And then at 8:30, you'll see Slash taking on Lori D. Both of those matchups will be on Randomania 2. Meanwhile, here on this network on Tuesday, you'll see a Pokemon Crystal Cinco Bingo Tournament match at 6, followed at 9 by the Zelda 2, The Adventure of the Link Randomizer Weekly Race. And over on Randomania 3 at 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday is another Pokemon Tournament match. Man, there's a lot going on here. Make sure to give our 2 runners a follow, Oh Dear and the Squirrel. I want to thank Nori Astra behind the scenes doing the restreaming and tracking. And you can give me a follow as well, Ferran Burgundy. I do more commentating than I do streaming. Pretty much all commentating and no streaming at the moment. But keep track of what all I'll be doing, as there's a lot that I'll be involved in as well. So thank you for tuning in here at Randomania for our runners, our restreamers, and everyone else here along the way. I'm Ferran Burgundy saying until next time, may your stars sing brightly and your seeds stay classy. Good day, everyone.